Hello, I'm Susanna from the Yoga, and this is a little bit of yoga philosophy. So, this is day 128, and it's from the Yoga Home Practice Challenge. And today is Asteya, non-stealing. So, Asteya is the Sanskrit, and the main interpretation is usually non-stealing. So, what I wanted to talk about is what is that philosophy? What is that in our daily lives? And how can you use that philosophy or tenet or rule? How can you use that in a way that's helpful for you? So, non-stealing, not stealing, is something that grows across many religions and is fairly simple to grasp in some ways. So, not taking something that is not yours. So, not going to Tesco's and taking an extra orange that you've not paid for. Not going into a locker room and taking somebody else's Nike shoes or whatever it is and walking away with them. This is quite straightforward, really, isn't it? Or at least it is initially. So the first thing that it brings up in my mind is the question of social justice. So how do we where do we place in our minds the concept of somebody not having enough and other people having more than they need? So if somebody can't afford to feed their children and they steal to feed their children from somebody who has a lot of money, this is another question for me. And yes, I would say it's wrong, but I would say that both things have a pretty major issue with them. One, stealing, two, not looking after people who do not have enough money. And it brings to mind a film that I watched, which is probably one of the most depressing films I've watched, which is called The Tree of Wooden Clogs. I don't actually recommend you watch it. I don't recommend you watch it. But it's about immense poverty in I think it's the Italian villages, and man, they basically can't feed his children, and it kind of, the basic story is that they die, and it's desperately awful. That's kind of it. So I think that we have to be mindful of something bigger than just the world of objects. So I could steal from the earth. And our society does very often, takes from the earth what the earth is not ready or has not been offered by our land, if you like. So one of the other descriptions of non-stealing is not taking what is not offered, because I can say, oh well, they said it was fine for me to take 5 oranges instead of 3, so I have. That's different from somebody just not noticing. So what is offered, what is not offered? And our earth is being, we are doing so much to it in terms of how intensively it's farmed and the effect on the earth and nature because of that. Now, I'm not saying that's all a bad thing at all by any means, but I am aware that to not steal, to not take what is not offered, it means often living slightly more simply than our society tends to. So I think that's quite important, and I suppose from my point of view, well, no, let's just not go into all of that bit right now. Let's just try and keep this nice and simple and grounded. So another thought, so I'm going to just leave that with you to have a little ponder about. What can we take? What is offered? What is not offered? What is offered because our society thinks that is appropriate? And what if you lived in a different society where there was less wealth and more poverty or more visual poverty? How would you respond to what was offered then? So many questions, so many things to think about. My other thing that I think is really important is what is offered from other people. So our relationship to others. So in a close relationship, you might have a situation where it appears that something is offered. It appears that maybe warmth or comfort is offered, but it's not actually offered. It's given as a kind of some kind of invisible bargain. It's not actually offered. It's a kind of so being mindful both about what you ask from others, but also what you offer to others, because you will also sometimes, we all sometimes will do the offering where the offering has a maybe a subconscious expectation. And it's, these things are absolutely fine. It's not that I'm saying that, oh my goodness, we must all be so zen-like and so together all the time that we are completely amazing. I intend to be completely amazing, but I will probably do that when I'm dead or dying. And until then, I'm going to be horribly human the entire time. And I'm actually fairly okay with that. So I'm trying to give you some things to think about without the burden of the burden of all that judgment that others can place on us and then we can place on ourselves, that I'm very aware of, I promise you. So back to the story. Being just mindful of what you offer and what you ask of others. So because we can steal from others in the sense that we can be asking for something which is not offered. I've had situations in my life where I have thought that one thing was natural and sensible and good and desired by both people, and it just wasn't. It's just a kind of sense of, oh, well, actually, no, that wasn't offered deeply. It really wasn't. And then I think we have to take it to another layer again, which is from a yoga point of view, from a asana, so that's yoga poses, from a practical yoga point of view, which is what most people think of as yoga. Yoga is standing on your mat, doing this, la la la, getting calm, which of course it is, but from a deeper yoga point of view, it is life. It is not just what you do on your mat. It is how you get washed, how you make your dinner, how you go to sleep, who you love, how you love them. All these things are yoga. Come on, Susanna, don't lose your train of thought now. So from a yoga point of view, I think it's really important to come back to ourselves and where we are and where we start from, because I can steal from myself. I can give of myself in a way that steals from me, because I have maybe an expectation to do so-and-so or a desire to do so-and-so, but actually I come away from myself to do that. And that I view also as stealing from myself. So and to steal from yourself is sometimes a really good thing, because that is when you can give to somebody else when they need it, not when you want them to have it. So if my daughter wants to chat at 11 o'clock at night and show me her videos on her phone, that's when we'll do that. And that is, that's my kind of bedtime. I'm kind of usually sort of bedtime-ish before then. But that is when that's needed. So I take from myself and I give to her because I really, really want to, because it makes me really happy. But I might also do that in a way that was not holistic and not helpful. So I could... what's a good example? So say I've left the house in a mess. It's absolutely chaotically messy. It's really filthy. I've not done the dishes. I couldn't be bothered with the dishwasher. I just didn't feel like it. And Andrew comes home and really, really is very unhappy and wants it all changed now. So I do it because I think, there we go, I've done a good job. I've done this. That will make him happy. But I'm really not happy about doing it because I just really, really didn't want to. There was nothing in me that felt like this was a happy thing that I was almost willing to do, that some kind of part of me decided to do it just for acceptance or peacefulness. And these are good things, but it's about the subtlety of that balance. So it's about the subtlety of the balance so that that you, yes, give of yourself when it feels appropriate, when it's requested, not when you want to do it, but also be really mindful, really, really mindful of when you are doing something because you need to create something in somebody else. So if I was to go and make myself into somebody better, bigger, more this, more that, more the other, just to make somebody else happy, that would not be a good plan in my view. It is really important to try and settle back. And it's like that feeling, when we're doing yoga, often I'll say to come back into the back of the body, the kind of back of the rib cage here, this kind of lower ribs area here. Often that desire to come out and do what other people want, it makes your back come in. If you've got boobs, your boobs will stick out more. If you've not got boobs, you'll have a kind of wider chest, bigger space. Yeah, there's a time for all of this, but in general, coming back into the back of the body, into where you are in yourself, and into that feeling of deep awareness of where your energy really is and how you really feel, I think is absolutely violent. Absolutely violent. Great. I am queen of typos, mistakes, and saying things beautifully wrongly. I wanted to say vital. It's absolutely vital. But actually, to be fair, maybe violence is important to bring up here. When we steal from ourselves, we're violent to ourselves. We say, you're not good enough. You are not enough as you are. You must be something else. And I suppose maybe this typo is the real message, which is I would really like you to be with you as you are right now, warts and all. Don't steal from yourself. Don't steal from others. Don't steal from shops. Don't steal from the land. And when all that doesn't work for you, just go back to your normal path and do your normal thing and come back to this some other time when it feels right. Because that is so, so important. That is coming back to you. To think about all these thoughts and to interact with them when they feel right. And when this feels like, oh my God, there's way too much to think about, Susanna's talked way too much, and now I'm completely freaked out about all of my moral choices and all of my moral compasses, then say, take a major chill pill. Because now's not the time to think about it then. So I really don't know how to stop this conversation now because I've talked so much and gone round in so many circles. But I really hope that I have at least inspired just a tiny little bit of interest in what is it that we're talking about when we're talking about not taking what is not offered. I hope you have a super day. I hope you ask me some really weird questions about this sometime. And I wish you very, very well. Thank you.